Guess what time of year it is? Hi, I'm Doug Goldstein, and I'm welcoming you to the end of 2023. Welcome to year-end tax planning, investment planning, and looking towards the future. Now, a lot of people don't really much like planning for the future, but as we're near the end of the year, there are a few things I just want to share with you. I'm going to try to make this a very short episode of the Goldstein on Gelt Show, but it's going to be packed with useful tips that everyone needs to know when making sure that his portfolio is all set for the end of the year and for next year. So the first thing you want to do is just take a snapshot of where you are. Now, lots of things happened this year. Markets were up, markets were down. It was a crazy year politically, physically. There was huge changes in interest rates. There were huge changes in safety for people. There's a lot of good and a lot of bad, unfortunately. But what you need to do is look where you are today. And what does that mean? It means look at the value of your portfolios first and foremost. You know, a lot of times I'll meet with someone and I ask him, well, tell me about your accounts. And he says, well, Doug, you know, I've got, let's say, $1 million, $1.5 million with such and such a bank. And I tell him, you know, there's a big difference between $1 million and $1.5 million. You need to know what these differences are. If you don't have them at the tip of your tongue, that's okay. Look it up. And when you speak to your financial advisor, give them any updates that might have changed, whether your salary changed, your gifts that you want to give changed, your goals have changed, the value of your portfolios have changed. These are all things that you want to put on the table so you have a snapshot of where you are right now. As you're nearing the end of the year, of course, it's time to begin to think about taxes as well. Now, I'm not a tax advisor, so don't take any of this as tax advice per se. But as the investment guy, I work with my clients' accountants. And one of the things we always look at towards the end of the year is, does the client have a lot of realized capital gains? A realized capital gain means that you sold something this year that you bought previously and you sold it at a profit. So maybe 7 years you put $100,000 into something and you sold it this year for $250,000. That $150,000 profit, right? You sold it for $250,000. You originally bought it for $100,000. That $150,000 profit is all taxable. So one of the things that accountants often recommend is they say, do some tax loss harvesting. That means look through your portfolio for positions that you have that are at a loss. And if there's no particular reason to hold on to them right now, sell them. So let's say that you have $50,000 of things that have gone down in value, meaning you have $50,000 of losses. So let's say you had another investment that you paid $120,000 for originally, and now it's only worth $70,000. You could go ahead and sell that and offset the gains you had, that $150,000 of gains versus the $50,000 worth of losses, and the net is $100,000 of gains, but that's a lot less. And what does that mean? It means that your taxes will be less because your net realized gain for the year is lower. If you need help looking at this for yourself, you can always be in touch with me. Go to goldsteinongelt.com and click on the Contact Us button. Finally, look ahead towards the next year. What are you going to try to do over the next year? Now, a lot of times I'm talking to clients who maybe they received an inheritance this year. This is probably one of the most common reasons that I speak to people. And they say to me, Doug, listen, I received an inheritance, but now I've got a plan because I want to help my kids, or I'm going to be buying a house, or I want to pay off some debt. All of those are goals that are now short-term goals. And that's going to affect how you're going to handle your investment portfolio. So look at your goals for next year. Those would be considered short-term goals. Look at your goals, let's say, for the next 1 to 5 years. Those could be short to medium-term goals. And then look at your goals for 5 and 10 and 20 years plus. Those could be considered long-term goals. Evaluate the long-term goals so you know exactly what's going on. And that way you can design your portfolio to make sense for who you are. You know, I had a guy who came to me once. He said, Doug, I've got $1 million from the sale of a property and I want to invest it for the long term. So that began the conversation of investing in the stock market. But the conversation wasn't going so well. I got the sense we weren't on the same page. And I said to him, what do you mean by long term? He said, oh, Doug, this is long-term money. I've bought another property and I've already signed on it, and I don't have to put the first payment down for another 90 days. So this $1 million is long-term money. I said, no, this is not long-term money. And that meant we had to take a step back and really discuss what we meant by short, medium, and long-term money. If you want to discuss your situation as we're entering the new year, or if you're taking a look at this after the new year and you want to just make sure you're on target, be in touch. You can go to goldsteinongelt.com, get in touch with me at the Contact Us button, and let's make sure that your portfolio makes sense for who you are. I'm Doug Goldstein here at the Goldstein on Gelt Show. In my day job at Profile Investments, we are currently taking on new clients, so feel free to be in touch with me at doug@profile-financial.com. Thanks so much for joining me. Please be sure to give us a like, and see you next time on the Goldstein on Gelt Show.